Can you believe this is my 20th video blog already? I keep thinking that eventually I'm going to run out of interesting things to talk about, but every day I'm on the road, I learn more and more about myself. And so tonight I want to share with you one of those stories. Well, as you guys know, I have set forth a goal to climb to the top of the Grand Teton. So I'm in Colorado right now, and I am hiking several of the 14ers to try to get myself ready for the Grand. So a couple days ago, Kendrick and I came up with the perfect practice day. He was going to run a route that was 30 miles long, and it goes over the summit of a mountain called the Mount of the Holy Cross. I, on the other hand, was going to take the more normal, or should I say, sane, route that was 12 miles long. And the plan was that I would leave a couple hours after him, and hopefully we could meet at the summit of the Mount of the Holy Cross, and then we could hike back down to the car together. So I got my gear all packed up, and a few hours later I drove to the trailhead and headed on up. Hey everyone, so I'm just starting up the trail to the Mount of the Holy Cross in Colorado. It's one of the 14ers. I think it's at 14,003 feet in elevation at the summit. The plan is to meet Kendrick, who started several hours ago about 25 miles south. As I started on this hike, I immediately felt a sense of freedom. If you've never been hiking by yourself, I highly recommend going on at least a short walk or hike and just seeing how it feels to be within yourself. I believe that the difficulty of anything we try to do in life is gauged upon our expectations and the perspective we have going into it. I knew this was going to be a long, strenuous hike, and I haven't hiked many 14ers, and this really came to light not even a mile into the hike when that altitude really started to hit me. So 1 mile in, I have warmed up, the view is beautiful, and I am acutely aware that I have just spent way too much time in Ohio eating Amish food. Now on this trail you take the first few miles up to this pass, and when you get to the top of this pass, you're tired and you're exhausted, but the view is just amazing. And for a minute you completely forget about how much it might hurt or how much you don't want to go on, because when you look out and you can see mountains for endless miles, you just forget about everything else. Well, this next mile is all downhill, and I'm wearing my totally awesome 80s pants, so I may as well run it. So I kept going after the pass, and there was this whole downhill part where I got to run. And I can't even tell you how fun that was. I felt like a little kid running down a hill. It was so much fun. As I was into the last mile of this hike, it was getting more and more difficult, steeper and rockier. And there was a moment when I had to just sit down. I'm at about 13,000 feet, and I'm having to stop and just take a quick moment of zen. It is a little bit harder than I thought it was going to be up here. I've got another 1,000 feet, and this ridge line right here. Let's just call this a little reality check. I've got a lot of progress I can make. It was really great to have that moment with myself, and to remind myself that I can be my own cheerleader, and I can talk myself through anything. Well, almost anything. And step by step, I talked myself to the top of that mountain. And when I finally reached the top, my heart was beating faster than it beat any time throughout the entire hike. Oh my gosh, you guys, I am so happy I made it. I thought Kendrick was gonna beat me and just come see me on the way down, but I'm here, I'm at the top, and this view, you guys, is just completely unbeatable. And the best part is, I beat Kendrick. So I get to the summit, and guess who's not there yet? Kendrick. So it's a little difficult to make an exact plan when somebody is running 30 miles through mountains with the amount of altitude gain that Kendrick was gonna have. So when I got to the summit and I saw Kendrick wasn't there yet, I waited. As I sat there waiting, I just imagined myself as this little speck sitting on the tip of this giant, massive mountain that was just part of a range of a bunch of giant, massive mountains, and it just simply made me happy. But as the time passed, I began to wonder how much longer Kendrick would be, and he showed me his route before he left, so I knew the ridge that he was supposed to approach on. I watched the ridge to see if he would come. I've been sitting up here for about an hour now, and it's getting a little bit chilly, so I'm gonna give it a little more time. The more and more time that went by, the more I knew that I had to follow through with our plan, which was for me to go back to the car if it began to get too late. Well, I didn't want to have to do this, but I am going to have to head back down to the car before these clouds come at me and it gets dark. This will be the last you hear from me as my phone is almost dead. As I hiked back down by myself and it was getting darker and colder, I couldn't help but think about why Kendrick hadn't met me on the top of the mountain. Did he hurt himself? Did he get lost? Is he okay? My phone battery died on the way down. I plugged in my phone and waited for it to charge. I spent the entire run just worrying about where Kendrick was and making up stories in my head. And of course, when I got back, there was luckily a message from him that said he reached the summit just a couple hours later than he meant to. He'll probably get in after dark, but I know he's got a headlamp, so that's a good outcome. But what this whole experience made me realize is that we all have dreams and goals and passions, and that we have to support one another. Whether it makes us worry and fret all day long, it doesn't change the fact that we want our friends and loved ones to succeed in the things that they want to do. And then I realized that this must be what my parents feel like, but yet they support me and they encourage me. And that's what this is all about. So guess what? Kendrick survived. And that brings us to the next hike we did, which my parents totally worried about because we decided to do, what was it?
Mount Elbert.
Mount Elbert, which is the highest point in Colorado. So I really wanted to photograph sunset.
And it was a Saturday and there were about 1,000 people on the mountain.
Okay, it's about 4 p.m., which is generally when people are coming down off the mountain, but we are headed up and we're going to get a beautiful sunset on the top of Mount Elbert. Now, this is a hike that is something Kendrick would probably normally just run straight up. But me being the average Joe that I am, needed to hike it, so Kendrick kindly hiked up it with me.
It's good practice. I kind of enjoy both approaches to getting up the mountain. I mean, my preferred method of getting up and down mountains is light and fast, but given the right company, I always enjoy hiking up at a slower pace.
Am I the right company?
Sometimes.
Everything's new to me. The views are new, and every turn I take is brand new. So I kept coming around these corners to what looked like the peak.
It wasn't.
It wasn't. I got super excited when we came around the corner because I was like, hey look, there it is. And Kendrick's like, no, that's the first of like 4 false summits. So
Maybe not 4, but a couple.
First my bubble.
Coming up a couple of the false summits, the light was just setting. I don't know, just this amazing little sunburst.
It seems like we chose the perfect day to get up there because the sun was just setting when we got to the summit.
And it was gorgeous. It was probably one of the more spectacular sunsets I've seen on a summit. This one was definitely just pretty awe-inspiring. You don't get Mount Elbert all alone on a pristine Saturday in August. You know, perfect weather. It just doesn't happen.
It is worth every step of the way. So now, all we have to do is go back and
In the dark.
But we've got our headlamps on and we're gonna be super safe and go really slow down the rocky parts, right?
Sure.
We planned for this and we were prepared. We also got really lucky that, the weather was amazing.
It was warmer on the way down in the dark than on the way up in the daylight.
So many people don't take the opportunity to realize that the planet has so much beauty all the time, be it in the middle of the day or at sunrise or sunset or even the middle of the night.
If everyone just takes a few minutes, stop and appreciate the sunrise, the sunset, be a lot less jerks in the world. It's hard to be mad whenever you start the day looking at a pretty sunrise. It's hard to go to bed mad whenever you watch a pretty sunset. It's worth it.
Thank you for joining us during Campfire Story Time, but I believe these coals are hot and this guy has some dinner to cook. Here's to the Grand next week. Love and light.